So what's up, YouTube? This your boy Rims, TNN, another edition, and I wanted to address the P. Diddy trial so far this week that has been going on. We have listened to testimonial from Cassie about her experience with Diddy over the last 10 years being with him, and I want to say first off that this is some of the most extreme behavior I have ever heard of in terms of, if a person is living in the life, so to speak, they call it, whether they're swingers or whether they're into, just other odd sexual behavior, cuckolds, or, other behavior like that, voyeurism and stuff like that. I've seen this stuff, to some degree, in some way, shape, or form and level on the internet before. But hearing some of these details, I gotta say, man, if you haven't been following this trial, I don't even know how to repeat some of the stuff on this stuff, and I'd rather not, because I'm still trying to grow my YouTube channel. But man, it's that bad. It really is that bad. In terms of what you would think a normal person would do with their spouse. But basically, there's behavior such as Cassie. Mind you, she's pregnant. She's on the stand. She's talking about how Diddy made male escorts pee in her mouth, and also they ejaculated in her mouth, and she would put that on his nipples. And I mean, bro, just saying this stuff out loud just makes you cringe alert, so I'm just gonna go over why I think some of this stuff, while we think in terms of sex trafficking as some big freight of human beings being transferred from one place to another and being exposed and exploited for sex activities and so on. We think of this whole different picture when we think of sex trafficking. At least I do, anyway, in terms of how it's portrayed in movies and so on. But in terms of the federal government, they have a very explicit rule book on how all this thing goes, and I want to say it's very detailed. And in terms of how it relates to this trial, I want to say that the prosecutors in this trial are not dumb. They look like they're taking the L by seeing one of the escorts say that Cassie actually asked me to pee on her. They look like they're taking that L in terms of the prosecution. But what they're really doing is they're kind of setting a foundation, a base. In terms of sexual trafficking, which I'm going to put the definition up on this YouTube, just so I don't mess it up. But in terms of that, there's also different levels of it. There's a phase of recruitment and harboring, and I think those two things are what the prosecution might focus on, and I'll tell you why. And also fraud. I'll tell you why. First, recruitment. In terms of recruitment, what falls under that is grooming. So a lot of people say that him being 17 years difference of age, this is most likely a grooming situation. He set Cassie up for this big record deal, which also will fall into the next thing, fraud. So she says, I was signed for a 10 album deal. I only did one song, but during our 10 years together, we had 4 freak offs a week. That's a lot of activity. And when you can say that, basically that might be considered false employment. Harboring. Isolation and confinement, monitoring and tracking of an individual. These things are not good. These things are not good because Cassidy is on record saying that she even had to get her own house just so she could feel like she had some kind of independence or control. So that's one thing that you can see in this week's testimonial that Cassie and her team highlighted. So these are like, put it like this: if you were in a fight, and a person was like an expert on pressure points, these right here are like the little pressure points right here that are just like striking, and you don't even know what this is gonna affect in the body. Like, you're just fighting this person and they're touching all your pressure points only to eventually strike at that nerve that's gonna bring you down. And I think this is the strategy of the actual prosecution. Now, on the other side, with the star team that Diddy has put together, along with my dog, Brian Still's already knocking down and putting objections up forth that he doesn't want to be revealed in court. Speaking of being revealed in court, what do you have to say, chat? Please like and subscribe. What do you have to say, chat, to basically having to expose 10 years of your behind the closed doors actions to your children? That is wild to me. I know that they say the daughters left during talks with the escort, but to me, that is beyond wild. That is something that I don't think I would ever wish on my worst enemy, is to have to basically expose all the craziness I've been doing behind closed doors. Now, granted, I'm not judging. I'm just saying that some of the stuff that Diddy was into, I don't think a lot of people was into. I think that Diddy is like his own spectrum, and leave that for him. Is he guilty of sex trafficking? Initially, before I had details on some of the definitions, I thought, man, all he was doing was some freaky stuff with his girl. But when you look at some of the things that are detailed in this, such as under harboring, it's treating one as a commodity to share with others. That is definitely something that you could say is arguably part of what's happening here, when Diddy's actually telling Cassie to go and do these things with male escorts. Sometimes he picks them, sometimes she picks them, sometimes they both pick them. They actually have their favorites, which, again, these things cross lines. You don't know if this is just normal, real freaky couple behavior, or if Cassie is really the victim. Honestly, this is like an episode of Black Mirrors, in my opinion, because I thought that what we was gonna get was gonna be very black and white, and we were gonna see some freak offs, and we were going to think that, you know, Cassie was, you know, after she got on the stand and just exposed everything, it was gonna be evident. But with the escort also confirming that Cassie also made certain requests that was, to him, wild. Again, you're talking to a sex escort who's used to this type of behavior. Even they were bugged out and was like, look, this is not something I'm used to doing. I'm not used to peeing in people's, you know, people's mouths and stuff like that. And so this is stuff that even the sex escorts in this trial are bugged out at times about some of the details in this trial. One of the details is that he had to have baby oil rubbed on everybody every 5 minutes. This is wild. Another detail is Puff actually almost got into it with one of the escorts for looking at him during a threesome. Yo, all these details are like next level. Like, you would think All I'm saying is that this stuff is very, very next level, and it really, really does kind of like make you think you're watching an episode of Black Mirrors. But it's out there. Another thing with the whole the sex trafficking, the biggest thing about this whole thing is it being a commercial sex act. Anything, or any sex activity in exchange for anything of value is considered a commercial sex act. So I think what's coming next is that the prosecutors are going to start asking Cassie, what did Diddy give you? Now, mind you, she's been in a 10-year relationship with Diddy, and Diddy, I mean, we already know that Diddy most likely got her a house because she paid and got herself a house. But we already know Diddy most likely got her a house or a place to live. We already know Diddy probably got her cars. We already know Diddy got her luxurious fashion displays that we've seen on the red carpets and so on. So right now, it doesn't look like the prosecution is cooking, but I'm telling you, they are cooking right now. They are cooking right now, and it's going to be a matter of Diddy's team to get, XYZ blocked out and so on, based on technicalities. But right now, they are cooking because everybody is focused on the fact that this is a one-man RICO trial. We still don't know if there are any co-defendants. But I'm telling you right now that I don't know what kind of magic they're going to work out, but they are cooking right now. They are cooking because there is more to be said about why this is so-called sex trafficking in this case and why Diddy deserves the maximum penalty. And your boy is in trouble. I ain't gonna lie because I didn't see it. And I hope he has a team that's smart enough to see it. Of course he does. But they're setting him up for the big one. But till then, please like, comment, and subscribe. This is your boy Rems with TNN. Had to give an update. Y'all be easy. I'll be back again with more as soon as possible.